is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk, presented to you by Heavy Bag Boxing, where we don't pull any punches. My name is Lucas Biggers. Alongside me, I'm going to have James Still Campbell, Robert Alexander, Sakura Armstrong. How's it going, everybody?
Very good.
Hey.
All right, we got a lot to talk about, so we're going to try to crunch this. We try to keep it to an hour now. We're going to do my best. I don't have any promises, though. That was not supposed to happen. Somehow I did that.
False start.
But James, I did kind of want to touch on the fights you attended with Thompson Boxing. So let's start out with that.
First, thanks for setting that up. It was only a 90-mile drive.
Only.
Well, coming and going, so it's good. It's fine. It was in the evening, and so I got there relatively quickly. But a great place. It's an outdoor arena. It's a bit makeshift, but the people who put this on, which is Thompson Boxing, do a fantastic job. They've been at it for about 20 years, as far as I know, doing these small cards with Thompson Boxing fighters. And Thompson Boxing works its way into a lot of different promoters. So it's not a big promotional company, but great, and a really, really good stable. And in the main event, it was a bit controversial, but we had Ruben Torres against Christian Baez. Co-main event was Louis Lopez, an exceptional welterweight. He faced Elias Diaz from San Diego. And in the fight before that was Pedro Valencia, undefeated, against Adrian Corona. That's the son of Ray Corona, the referee. Okay, so they're both undefeated. Someone's went, and that's just the way it is. But a great fight and a great card altogether. It's too bad there was a little bit of controversy at the end. But it was a really, really great night of boxing.
So let's jump in right to the controversy that's looming over this card here. Ruben Torres appeared to knock down Christian Baez. And then Christian Baez was arguing with the ref and disputing that as a legitimate knockdown. And when they went to touch gloves after that, he caught a quick check left hook. And it looked like that was all she wrote.
Yeah, the Christian Baez, the guy who went down, he was still in the protest mode, which is not a good thing because the referee, Thomas Taylor, clearly says fight. And just to give that a little background, first round was pretty even. Second round, this is hot. They both went down. They both went down in the second round. Clear knockdowns. Oh, so they're going at it. This kid, Christian Baez, he's been off for, I think his layoff was 18 months. He was once a Golden Boy fighter. So he's experienced and really talented and a hard hitter. They're fighting at 135, I should say. In the seventh round, Torres backed him up, not quite into the corner, but close. Threw a solid 1-2 and knocked him down. But there was a trip there as well. Mm. There was a trip. There's no question about it. There was an entanglement with the feet. Comes up arguing, saying, I got tripped. Thomas Taylor says, you went down, starts counting the 8. The guy's like, nope, come on, give me a break. Well, he motioned fight. Very clearly says fight. And this clip is all over the internet right now. And so Torres came in and they touched gloves very lightly and shot the mother of all left hooks. And it was lights out for Christian Baez. There is controversy there. There's one thing I got to say, right? Go ahead.
Go ahead. No. Well, I want to get your take on it, and I want to also get the audience reaction before we talk and discuss amongst ourselves about that clip.
All I want to say is that there's this unwritten rule. Boxers do that often. They touch gloves. One glove comes out, they touch. There's always 1, 2, maybe 3 seconds where they back off a little bit and then re-engage. Mm-hmm. I've seen fighters come out at the opening bell. They touch gloves. I saw one fighter I remember recently. This is within a year ago. He threw a big overhand right. He missed. Got whooped. I gotta say, that unwritten rule really shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be touching gloves. Now that I think of it, because this guy just got checked and was out. And I don't know if you guys saw this clip. It's pretty gruesome. And the reaction from the fans were like, probably not a cool thing to do.
A lot of booing. There was a lot of booing, a lot of craziness going on.
There was a lot of everything going on. There was some booing. There was a lot of hysteria, a lot of cheering. He had a lot of fans there. He's from Los Angeles. So, yeah, it was quite a moment. I sat back and I just could not believe what I saw. I've been watching boxing forever. It's like, I don't think I've ever seen this. A new high, a new low. I don't know what you call it. It was.
Well, we got a lot of that out of this weekend.
Right.
But I mean, the Ruben Torres, you're kind of caught between, good and bad, but at the same time, I mean, it was a legal punch. It doesn't make it not dirty, right? Because in most people's eyes, I think you're going to be a little bit dirty.
Well, just check your contradiction there. You're saying legal and dirty.
It can be legal and dirty.
I guess it's not easy.
You can have that. I mean, you can. The most recent thing I could even fathom it being close to is Mayweather Ortiz, but I think Mayweather was more allowed because of what Victor Ortiz did. There was not really anything Christian Baez did to warrant that kind of a response. Yep. Now, I am not against what Mayweather did. I think a lot of people are going to see it dirty. Maybe I did too at the time, but it was justified. Torres can't justify this to me. I mean, it's just a cheap shot. He was going in for he wasn't in fight mode, and I understand. He said fight, protect yourself at all times is trademark of boxing, but you got to give a little bit here.
Yeah. I was a bit disappointed when I was driving home. It was, I had time to reflect on it. I was thinking, it's probably a really bad move. And it's all over the internet now. I mean, everyone's had a chance to look at this. If you get the background on this, you would come to a conclusion. And I heard interviews with Ruben Torres. He's 20-0 now. Coming up in 135s. Great kid, solid, good head on his shoulders, not a talker. He's a doer.
You know what? Maybe we should reach out to Mario, try to get him on the show, maybe clear the air, see what's really going on here. I mean, this is tough talk for a reason, so let's ask him them hard questions. Sakura, Rob, I want to get your guys' take on this knockout.
Yeah, I'm for using all the tools that, you have at your disposal when you're in a fight that are legal. And this is legal. So you definitely know you're about to re-engage. You want to take the time out to pat hands and all that kind of stuff, but hey, you're still in a fight. So if you want to put your guard down and so you can dap a guy that you're at, war with, it sounds like it was a pretty competitive bout up till this point. So there was the reason why Torres was like, I can go ahead and get him out of here.
But I mean, isn't it? It was on both sides, though. No. Torres is the one that was coming out like, "Hey, first." Now, if it was the other way around, and Baez was like, "Hey, then I'd be okay with that." But Torres, did this first, so he was trying to get him to bring his guard down as soon as he did.
Well, right. I mean, you can see it like that. However, like I said, use all your tools to your disposal. So if I've been, touching gloves between exchanges the entire time, and I now know that that's something that you like to do before we exchange, I'm not going to use that information to get me my W. I mean, you're not protecting yourself. You just said it plainly, Lucas. Protect yourself at all times. He made that mistake, so therefore, Torres got the victory. I mean, I'm more upset about the exchange that happened before that, when the trip occurred and he went up against the rope, and then he's trying to get the judge to, the ref to consider the fact that he was tripped or what have you. I think that's a whole nother issue in itself, when we have instant replay, I believe they have instant replay in California as well as Nevada. They also have it now here in Florida. So these are locations where if something is at dispute and you're really not sure, why not take the time to, do the instant replay? Like, okay, we can finish this round and I'm gonna look. Or, something like to that extent. Because what we're tired of seeing is when, a ref cannot possibly see everything. So it's like, why not use all the tools at their disposal, right? They are able to use the same tools now, in several states to be able to, clear up these things, especially if it is a contentious fight, especially if it means so much to be having a knockdown in the 7th round called against you when the rest of the fight has been so competitive. Take the extra time to see what's up. But as far as this punch, I was okay with it when Floyd did it. I'm okay with it now. And you think it's a bad thing, but it's all over the internet. However, that's millions and millions of more people that know Ruben Torres and Christian Bears now.
So I'm against it, and I think it's a cowardly act, and here's why, Shakura.
Oh boy.
Because you're at close range and you have a defenseless fighter. He's defenseless in that moment. He's not prepared for the act, and it was premeditated. Obviously, it was premeditated. You could tell by the way that he threw the punch and how defenseless Christian was. It's a cowardly act. It shouldn't happen. After you touch gloves, you're defenseless. Your guard is down. You're completely down. You're not thinking of punches coming at all. You're completely defenseless. There's no need for that unless you're trying to take a damn cheap shot to win a fight instead of winning it actually earned. If he would have earned that knockout, I'd give it to him.
He earned it.
He didn't earn that knockout.
He knocked his ass slap out. He earned it.
It was a sucker's move.
You're saying he's defenseless, but whose fault is that? I mean, is that Torres' fault or is that Baez's fault for not protecting himself? And why are we doing all these gaps in between rounds? Like, what do we need to be dapping for? This fight is still contentious. This is still a very competitive fight. So I don't understand what all this dapping is about. I need to.
That's Torres. It was Torres that motioned for the dap. That's why he's saying it's premeditated.
No. What I'm saying is overall, why are boxers dapping in between rounds now?
I agree. If I'm a coach, I'm telling them don't dab nothing. Keep gear up. But this is just what boxers do. I don't know. I wish I had an answer for that one because I don't understand it either.
No, it's no need for it. We can dab after the fight's over and I won against you. That's when we can dab. Like if it was me. But I'm evil like that sometimes.
I like that. It's a good point. It's a good point.
I'm on both sides of the fence. I'm looking at it from both ways. The thing that gets me, I think, more than anything, again, is the Torres actually motioned first for the dab. It was like he was setting it up, as Rob was saying. It seemed more intentional on his side to try to get it out of there and get, it seemed like a cheap shot.
Right.
But
Shakur,
it's a legal punch.
Had Christian go for a pound or whatever, had he go for the gloves, and Torres was just like, no, denied it, and then punched him and got the knockout. To me, that's different. But the fact that he had his hands up, like he was wanting to engage in a friendly manner, and then to see Christian so defenseless, and then he take that's premeditated, man. That's premeditated stuff. He knew that would happen. He'd be able to get a knockout.
A left hook to the body, and so it's a right hook to the chin. It's all set up. I mean, all these punches are set up. Like, what's the difference to me? You put your defenses down. You shouldn't have done that. I mean, it's just clear day to me. Like, if you did it if we dapped a couple of times throughout the fight, and this I get that information that you're willing to engage in that with me, I feel like now that is now something that I can use to my benefit in another way.
It's oh man. So from a fighter's perspective, right? I can only imagine that Baez is like, what the hell does dude want to dab me for? I assume he's, going to be friendly, like maybe it wasn't a knockdown type thing, and it is what it is. So I think he said, oh, okay. So he assumed like I'm not in any danger, and then oh shit, I am in danger, and I'm knocked out. So like I said, it's dirty and it's not all at the same time. It's very hard. It all determines on where you are and who you are, whether you're against it or for it. But it's very controversial. I mean, it sucks that that's really kind of the highlight of this, because it does sound like a very enthusiastic card. But there wasn't any rioting or anything. I mean, nobody was going too crazy.
Nothing like that. No.
Nobody was screaming, "This is bullshit!" or nothing like that.
Well, there was a little bit of that.
I mean, had it been so,
did
like,
they
actually could a ref have taken? There is nothing on the books that said that this is illegal. So I mean, if it was really that bad, then it would have been something that the ref could have gone and penalized him for.
Right. But it's making its way through the internet and becoming infamous for this reason. If it was just a knockout, even the way he knocked him out and he stiffened up like that, that wouldn't have mattered. And it wouldn't even have got as big as it is already if it wasn't for kind of the dirtiness involved, right? But I think we've kicked that horse to death a little bit. Let's move on. We all know Bronner backed out. Sergey Lipinets stepped in against Omar Figueroa, and the last minute replacement syndrome, Sakura, as you like to call it, that it won again. Lipinets able to get him out of there and stop him. He didn't answer his bell. I would like to say that we're all a little bit surprised, but I think that'd be a line of bullshit. I think. I'm just more curious how it would have went if it was actually Omar versus Bronner.
Maybe the same. Maybe the same. Figueroa is just at a point in his career where he's burning a lot of energy moving around, and he's wondering why his body is not tuned a specific way. Your style is just off. I don't know of any other fighter that does that shit. He was a better fighter in the past, stylistically. What he's doing now is a bit weird. I remember seeing him in this particular fight throw a 2-punch combo with his feet seemingly off the ground. The fuck? There's no way to fight. You need to plant your feet and jab hard and throw that hard right. And he was kind of like up in midair somehow. And what is that? I mean, I've never seen that ever.
I don't know where he got this, these bad habits, where he picked it up from. But I agree. It's like he started out more disciplined, but now he's just all over the place. He changed his style. He changed, everything. If you look at from early fights of Omar to now, it's like two different guys.
Yeah, no, I call it the Philly shell on crack.
Oh, wow. You're funny. My thing about the whole situation with Figueroa is that originally I saw it as a winnable fight for him when it was against Broner. I saw it as a situation where Broner, first of all, would have to make the weight. And then if he made the weight and the fight went on, I felt that Broner doesn't, in the last couple of years, he hasn't had that output that you need to win rounds. So, as far as his output is concerned, it's easy for someone like Omar to have landed more punches in a round, is basically what I'm saying. And I felt that would have been an easier fight for him to come back to the sport on. But chance would have it, that didn't work out to be the situation, and he's now in there with Lipinets, the Russian, I forgot what his moniker is, but you don't want to be in there with a Russian when they've had 2 losses and this is their do or die moment as well. And they had time to prepare for the fight too, right? Because he was definitely conditioned in that fight.
Yeah,
But
he was scheduled. He was scheduled for the card.
yeah, so they're doing that now, which I think is a good thing to have like that backup just in case. So he was ready to go, and that's the situation that chance would have it. It showed Omar he wasn't ready for better than Lipinets. And if you're not getting through Lipinets at 140, you damn sure ain't getting through a Regis program or a Ramirez or a Josh Taylor. You see what I'm saying? So it's nowhere to go. And that's the thing about when you fight certain people and like, wow, this guy looked way better than me, and he's not considered the best at this division. So I mean, I'm happy for Lipinets. It was the outcome I thought it was going to be, but I did feel really sad for Figueroa, who did have a great camp, worked really hard. And the thing for me that was most sad is just how he was down on himself in the fight interview, and you think to yourself that wow, he's having a hard time accepting that his body might not have it anymore. And we as the fans, every time, even though we know throughout these guys' boxing careers that day is coming for every boxer, we still have just a hard time accepting that, they have to say goodbye to us on that level at some point. So I guess it was sad for the fans, sad for him, sad for his team. But nevertheless, happy that Lipinets was able to show for too.
Well, I just want to encourage you guys to go back and look at a fight. It's Omar Figueroa against a Japanese fighter named Nihito Arakawa. And if you like brawls, good action-packed fighting, you'll love this. You'll watch it twice. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And that was about five years ago, maybe. I'm not going to even look it up, but it's been a few years, and excellent fight. Different style of fighter back then.
Rob, anything to say on this before I move on?
Well, what happened in this fight was he wasn't prepared for a guy like Lipinets. He was actually prepared for Adrian Broner, which means we would have got two very sluggish, slow, rusty fighters in the ring that night. Omar looked very sluggish, very slow. And to answer the question, I don't know if he could have even beat Adrian Broner that night. But I honestly believe that Adrian Broner also would have came in there sluggish and more slower than we've ever seen him before. So really, Lipinets just took care of a wounded pup and got him out of the sport so we can move on.
Well, obviously, you're not one of those fans that hate to see a boxer fading out into his retirement career.
No, because not at all, because you can't play this sport. If you're not in it, you don't need to step in the ring, especially at this level.
Gotta agree there. Let's jump into the thick of it here. I know we all want to talk Usyk's performance. What an amazing performance again from Alexander Usyk. I'm surprised, and we all must admit AJ did have a much better showing. Still not able to get the job done though. Usyk's boxing is superb. Really, I mean, a lot of people are putting him on the pound for pound lists. We'll talk about that too. But were any of you surprised? Well, Rob, you picked AJ. You picked AJ. Robbed. That's why you saying he's robbed, because you picked him.
He was
sure robbed. He was. Sure he was.
Anthony Joshua was robbed.
James?
No, I picked Usyk. I picked Usyk by KO.
I was saying, is he the only one? Is Rob the only one that chose predicted so. AJ was gonna win?
I think so. Yeah, I have not even put that together. I haven't had time to go back and fill out that chart.
I had him winning by 2 rounds, and the 2 rounds that I had him winning, and you can pick any round in the fight because I was biased. Just inserted any round.
I mean, I guess at least
No,
you're
AJ did
admitting
not.
you're.
AJ did not win that fight. He did not win that fight at all. And where we start at is the change in training, in trainer. He changed his trainer. We expected him to come out to look better. I feel like the only thing that Robert Garcia was able to get through, and there was a lot from what I hear he tried to implement in camp. And it looks like the only thing he was able to get through in there were the body shots. AJ landed more body shots, and that's what played into his hand later in the fight when he was able to come on later in the fight because of those body shots. Other than that, the major malfunction with AJ is for a guy to be so big and supposedly tough. There's no jab. There's no jab with conviction in there at all.
And
He
that's
just
where I'm
draws
going
with the
back,
jab.
and I'm telling you, I think Garcia was all wrong. Garcia was a big problem in this loss, if you ask me. One, why in the hell are you telling AJ he's up 3 rounds? Oh, you've won every round. What? He lost
There's
those
that.
rounds.
Yeah, I think they call
Garcia
it.
did him no justice. Like you said, Rob, we saw the same AJ. It was slightly improved. He was at least able to have more stamina, but he still didn't have any other plan. There was no plan B. He didn't try to set traps. He just followed Usyk around the ring, which we all knew he was going to do anyway. That's what Usyk does, right? He doesn't let you plant your feet to use your power. So he negates you being a heavyweight in the first place. Why would you not plan for that? That's the only thing you have to worry about, and you don't game plan for that?
Well, there was the second thing to worry about, which is, his infamous chin issues, which I thought was mainly improved. I thought that was a huge improvement. I don't know what kind of exercises.
Maybe, but Usyk can't punch that hard.
I don't know. I think he got he had a little pop to his punch to me. It seemed that, if Ruiz could have knocked him a little off balance and get him flush, I felt like Usyk could definitely do that. I didn't see that in him. I didn't see the reaction that I normally see with him. So I think he was improved with that. And then I did think he was improved as far as he was defensively protecting himself and trying to set up things. I just think it's a bad strategy to try to outbox such a superb boxer, a street science, type of expert that Usyk is. You don't want to, how's that going to work for you? The one round that he was totally successful at, to me, and dominated was when he stopped trying to box him and he started using his body mass and, actually turn on the intensity and make for Usyk not to have time to kind of, rotate and circle out of harm's way. I thought that was the best round he had. I don't know why it wasn't implemented earlier in the fight. But the body work, as Rob mentioned, I do think that did help him in that same round because Usyk was looking a little tired and a little fatigued in that same 9th round.
So, I was hoping that he would use the hard right, solid right, a lot more often. Mm-hmm. It seemed like he just didn't use it enough. I was looking for a jab to the body and a right overhand, or I should say overhand right.
Like this is just like
I was hoping that he'd bring down that guard a little bit.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that with Joshua, I see a guy who's trying to figure things out, and at this level of the game, if you don't have it figured out when you get in there from the get, you're just not ready. And he seems like a little kid trying to figure things out, like that it's going through his mind, and he's trying to work on things and trying to develop some sort. You're just not ready.
You're tickling.
You're just not ready.
I think a good game plan for Usyk could have went a long way. But let's talk a little bit about why. We all know what Usyk did well. Clearly he just boxed his socks off. But other than that, he was constantly, anytime that there was any kind of small rally, other than the 9th round, that is, by AJ, Usyk just came right back and answered right back, like, you're not going to win this round for me.
He was allowed to.
He was allowed to, yes. And why is that? The one thing that's missing, and I'm not even saying it's chin, the one thing missing for me from AJ, and I sent it to you guys, cojones. He does not have the cojones. You have to be able to stay in there. That ninth round and all of this fight. When he gets hit, and we all know Usyk is not a heavyweight puncher. He is not that he does not react well to punches at all. AJ, as soon as he gets touched, everything resets. Where am I? What am I doing? Oh, I'm frustrated again. He can't take it and keep moving forward. If he could do that ninth, he would walk through him. I'm not going to say any other, but a lot of other heavyweights in that position in the ninth round could have got Usyk out of there. And mainly just because of size, not because of superior boxing ability, but simply to overpower them. And that's what a lot of people will be able to do to Usyk. That's one of the reasons I would probably pick Fury over Usyk, is simply for the fact of his pure size and the fact that he's going to be willing to sit in there and trade. AJ is not. He can't. And if he can't trade with Usyk, what the hell are you going to do, man? You can't hang in there with Wilder. You can't hang in there with even Andrew Ruiz again. You should probably stop. Hang him up and call it a day. Enjoy your celebrity.
So, in going in everything that you're saying, my father, who's been on this earth much longer than we have, a little bit longer than we have, who's followed and actually seen the Muhammad Ali's, he's seen the Fraziers, he's seen George Foreman, he's seen all the great heavyweights. And to put it in perspective, Joshua was his guy. In the greatest division that he said in all of sports, the heavyweight division, Anthony Joshua was his guy. And after the disappointment that this man has had, he is now wanting to leave the sport of boxing for good. So with that, I now dub Anthony Ash Juice Joshua.
The return of Ash Juice.
The name
again.
He has the name back as Ash Juice. Now, all that being said,
I thought you left her into the
all that being said, there's a major issue with Joshua that training ain't gonna be able to help. And we can get into that a little bit later in the next segment or whatever, because I want to touch on that there. But guys, it's character. He has character flaws, period. That's what I see. Lucas calls it cojones. I'm calling it character flaws. And I'll elaborate.
Maybe we can just call it courage, right? When you're under fire, he does not react well when he's under fire, right?
Well, I do also want to put this out there. Like, it was his first fight. I'm going to move past the cojones and stuff. I'm just going to say, we could just basically, this is his first fight with a new training team. I mean, I think if you're a real AJ fan, you should.
I hope you're not making excuses.
Excuse me. If you are a real AJ fan, you should at least allow him the courtesy of seeing him one more outing at least with 2 fights with the same trainer, so we can see what else the Garcia team can pull out of him. It's certain things that I saw with the training team. I mean, they have a great camaraderie with him, and it looks like that he really respects their opinions on things. I just want to know where they was at during the whole post-fight situation. They were kind of missing in action on that whole scenario. But with anyone, I always say, if you're just out of the gate with a new training team, like it's gonna take more than one fight for you to really get into whatever it is that particular team is trying to get documented.
Well, you can have all the coaches in the world. There's something you got to bring with you, and it's called fight. And AJ has some fight, but not a lot. I'll give you an example real quick.
Mhm.
On the same card with Figueroa and Lipinets, there was an earlier fight, and it was Alberto Puello at 140 versus his first name is Batirzon. His last name is Akhmedov. He's Ukrainian.
Yes.
If you guys saw that fight, this kid Akhmedov brings fucking fight. He lost this fight to Puello. I thought he won. But he was just fucking devil. No fear. Try to break bones on every punch. Just aggressive, clean. But I mean, there's so much fight in that kid. He's going to be a champion, regardless.
I saw that.
That's what
It was
Anthony.
fight
This
back
is,
and forth.
but this is what Anthony Joshua does not have. He doesn't have that fire. He doesn't have it.
Yeah, there's no grit.
He doesn't have it.
No heart, really.
He's thinking too much, and when you fight, you don't have to think. You just fight. You bite down, and you fight, and you get hit, and it should make you a little hotter. It should bring up your temperature when you get hit. He seems to cool off when he gets hit. You don't like getting hit. You don't like getting touched.
No, yeah, you don't like
wrong
getting
sport.
Yeah.
I will be the first to admit that I'm really not sure on AJ's upbringing, but it definitely sounds like he did not come from the rough streets of the UK.
According to him, he was about to go to jail before.
Yeah,
if you listen to his rant.
According to Dillian White, he was on his couch sleeping, But I feel like also a part of his upbringing. Like, let's just start from where his boxing career took off, and just how I don't want to say spoiled, but how
spoiled. Say it. Spoiled.
How they were catering to his needs and wanting him to have a certain look, and it was all about marketing and how the UK fans feel about him. All of that is baked into you not feeling like you deserve to necessarily get hit in a fight.
Yeah, but there's this issue.
To me, it comes off as that type of situation.
Right? But
it all comes down to his persona is one thing, but his method of fighting is different. It's softer. It's slower. Think about athletes who are successful. Think about guys who are tough, like Allen Iverson. You remember Allen Iverson?
Yeah.
Right? What about Roberto Duran?
Oh,
they just make it.
Kobe Bryant.
There it is. It's all fight. Comes from within. Joshua doesn't have that. He's maybe halfway there. He just doesn't have that fight. He doesn't have that pop.
In that
he
fight,
he doesn't have it.
I agree. You're gonna have that part where you have to dig deep, and he's lack of a better word, shallow.
Lucas,
he can't dig.
I like what Shakur was bringing up, though. Let's not forget, this man came off the canvas to beat Klitschko. That was grit.
Look,
that was true grit. He showed grit in that fight.
I'm gonna go a step further.
No,
because I'm agreeing with Ain't No Saving AJ, drunk on YouTube here. Thanks for the comment. Ain't No Saving AJ. He's a journeyman route now, and I'm entitled to kind of agree.
Well, I understand what y'all are saying there, but what I'm putting in perspective is what Shakur is saying. When he came off the canvas to beat Klitschko, that was grit. That was hard. He showed it in that fight.
Klitschko was like 48 years old.
I don't care. He was the baddest. He was the baddest man.
28, but he knocked him down. I mean, he was
bound to
showing that he was in that fight. Klitschko wasn't acting like a 48-year-old.
Right, but that's more good on Klitschko and bad on AJ.
No, let me finish. I believe he had grit coming up. I believe he showed it. Somewhere along the lines, when he became heavyweight champ and beat Klitschko, like Shakur is saying, his head blown up. And that's why he thought he was worth all the money not to fight Dan Wilder. That's why he declined that fight and wouldn't take it, because he thought he was worth all that money. Guess what? Grass ain't greener on the other side. It ain't. Because now you're stuck in what Lucas and Drunk is saying. You're a journey. You putting yourself into a journeyman role now. Why? Because we don't see it. That being said, yeah, if he hasn't figured it out yet, it's a wrap, right? But that being said, let's go into the other shit that he did that night. Let's talk about that.
All right.
Well, that's all cool. We can do that. But what I want to say is that he had trouble with the southpaw. A good boxer, a fast guy, a good puncher. He had all rolled up into one against him, and he just doesn't have enough. Just didn't have enough, and that's all
And
right. It's not a bad thing.
hold on, Luke and James. Let me ask you. To offset that, though, he could have took a chance or a risk and tried to knock the guy out.
Yes,
He could have tried to win, which is the scenario. You don't step in the ring to not lose a fight.
right.
Your goal and purpose should be to win.
Mm-hmm.
in
The last rounds, he was outgunned.
Yeah, and it honestly reminded me of Victor Ortiz when he gave up against Maidana. Like I just don't feel like I should be taking this kind of punishment. That's kind of vibe I got from him because he didn't act like he wanted to win. Like I said, that 9th round, Usyk was there. A lot of people could have finished that. Usyk was there. He was on his horse. He was hurt. I think anybody else, the top tier guys anyway, could have gotten him out in that round. Now, we come to this. Funny thing is, I still want to see Joshua Wilder. I think you just want to see Joshua get punished. But the thing is, you're never going to see that fight because smart handlers already know the outcome of that fight. And that's a knockout for Wilder. I think we'll all agree to that. No? Anybody else going to pick Joshua? Because I can't fathom it from this team right now.
I would love to see that fight, and the reason being is because I want to see Ass Juice get his ass knocked.
Oh boy, listen, I'm even up for. I want to see Dillian White versus AJ again. I want to see what the outcome would be after both of these two have lost and had downturns in their career. I want to see what happens now. Because that was a very, very good fight, and it was highly competitive, if you guys remember. And it seemed like one of them went way, way up, and William White, he had to stay there for that and move up from there. And so it just seems like one might have a little bit more experience after a whole slew of other boxers that they fought in that time period, while the other one was coasting along and getting kind of like the money fights that they wanted. So I would even like to see that fight again, and then Wilder Fury would be amazing. But what I'm hearing from a lot of people is that would be more than just a career ender for Wilder. For AJ, because they feel like there's some mental things going on. That if he got knocked out by a Wilder type punch, could seriously, be detrimental to his health. So they are like saying, hell no, like as if he act like that after this fight with Usyk.
So let's talk about that.
Well, hang on. Before we do that,
okay.
So you're basically saying he's a B tier. God, I can't talk. A B tier fighter. He is not going to fight the elites anymore of the heavyweight division. He might as well forget about the belts because he ain't going to get no goddamn belt. Fighting Chisora or Parker again. Who's he gonna face? That's the main problem. Is you're not proving anything. Only thing you are proving now is that you have been and you will continue to be protected. You're not elite. You never were. You were a little bit better than a Seth Mitchell. You were somebody brought up to make it look like you had it, but you don't have it like that. I'm sorry. Seth Mitchell might be a little bit harsh. Okay?
Yeah, that's a little harsh.
I'll take that back. But in essence, it was the same shit. It's when we put you up there, when we go to test you, you failed. And that's what happened. And I believe it will happen again. If he continues to fight, as we're all saying, I just don't think he has it in him. But we're going to discuss that even more because we're about to discuss what happened after the fight, which was a whole incident upon itself.
I was going to say, the thing of it is, AJ is not going to put himself on a line like that. He probably still will get this Fury fight eventually. If it's any other boxer with the record that he's had and this latest loss to Usyk, they wouldn't get that opportunity. But I'm almost 90% sure, 98% sure that he will end up still getting the Fury fight.
Oh, I agree 100%. No, 100%. He's getting a fight with Fury. And again, I've said that before because it's just worth too much money, right? Sakura,
Yeah.
like it's going to happen. But I think the smart boxing fans don't want to see that garbage. The common fans who are brought up, that just follow his Twitter and shit like that, and his Instagram, those are the idiots that are going to tune into that. The stupid boxing fans are the one that tune into that because we've already seen this fight. We already know he's going to lose. He's basically fighting a bigger, stronger, more powerful Usyk.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what Fury is. Right?
Yeah.
He's not going to win. No. But he had this whole thing afterwards where he was going to like walk out afterwards. He had to be held back. Very strange. Very, very strange. Threw the belts out of the ring like having a tantrum and then praised Usyk. But I think it was almost condescending. Some people, and I encourage you to go read Jules Philippe Augusta piece on this on our website at heavyweighboxing.com. It's a very good article.
Very well written.
But
very good.
I don't all the way agree with him. I did like the article, but I don't necessarily all the way agree. I do think more than anything, he's just showing spoiled baby, man. He did this in his last loss too against Ruiz. He shuts down. Oh, I'm not giving an interview and stuff like that. He went to storm out, then he stormed back in. I mean, no, it's everybody just wants. There's a fine line between I'm being a baby and I got something mentally wrong.
So
no, I'm sensing some fragility there, but I think everyone else is too. So
also a fine line between mental illness, right, and just mental strength.
But you can't put that on this situation. The man was pissed off because he lost the fight. Was he out of his mind? Yes. He was out of his mind, and he should be because he lost the fight. And it wasn't no robbery. He wasn't mad because he said he got robbed. He simply could not understand what Usyk had to beat him and why he lost the fight. And the reason why is because he needs to look at himself in the mirror. Because if you have that much emotion, that much passion, and that much energy after the goddamn fight, where was it the whole fucking fight?
Well, he doesn't have the fight. He doesn't have the fight. It's just not in him. Think about Arturo Gatti. Think about Diego Corrales.
James,
think about Johnny Tapia. That's all fight. Nothing but fight.
So James, the problem is it's not that he doesn't have it in him. It's that he's too scared. He's too scared to take that risk.
But
which is the same. It's the same thing.
It's
the same thing.
It's basically.
I think we agree on this.
No fire. It's the Victor Ortiz, right? It's the Seth Mitchell. You don't got nowhere to dig from. When you're down and you're out, you have nowhere to pull out of. You got nothing in you, right?
I think Lucas said it well earlier because Lucas speaks Spanish. What was that word you used earlier, Lucas?
Cojones.
Marble. Cojones.
That's it. That's what it takes.
And I honestly think that ninth round, if he could have just weathered the storm and just stuck in there and said, you're going down, he would have at least dropped him, right?
Because
points would have went up. Who knows what could have happened? But
it's what it takes. It's what it takes to win a fight. And I'll give you this. I just thought of something kind of crazy, but I'll tell you a quick story. I was at fights Fantasy Springs many years ago. 1993, in November 1993. And it was Johnny Tapia fighting Willie Salazar. And Salazar connected. He landed the mother of all right hands and hit Tapia. And Tapia faded back 2 or 3 or 4 steps, and I thought he's done. But he kept his balance, and in the Tapia fashion, shook his head, and then shook it again, and then touched his gloves and went at it. And I was standing next to Sugar Ray Leonard, and we both looked at each other like, "The fuck is he on?" And so he probably won that round.
To stop shocking
Oh, look, you said cojones, right? You said cojones.
Yeah.
There's no fear here. This guy took the mother of all rights and just went right back into it. I mean, it was, I think the entire crowd there, this was Fantasy Springs when it was still outdoors. And they had not built anything yet, but the entire crowd froze for 1 or 2 seconds. And this guy came back firing. Why? Because it's in him to fight. He's got fight in him. Joshua ain't got it. He doesn't have it.
Right.
Gotta have it. He does not have it. It's not there. You can't buy it.
I mean, he just sometimes when he runs out of the corner and all this, I'm like, does he think he's in a movie? Like he's in a Rocky movie or something. Like he wants to always look a certain way, you know. Instead of worrying about the wrong thing, right? Like you're worrying about how you look instead of like how you're actually performing. But if I'm Garcia's team, I probably would just show him that 9th round and be like, "This is what you have to do the whole fight." Like, and you wouldn't have made it to the 9th round if he was fighting like this in the 2nd and 3rd round, you know? Like, use it as some type of example so he can see what they're trying to get out of him.
I think Garcia knows, though, he can't do that. He can't. He can't do it against Usyk. And if you can't do that against Usyk, you can't do that against Wilder. You damn sure can't do that against Fury. You can't do that against Pulev or any other big guys, right? He can't stick in there. He was able to box some of these other guys, right? The Parkers and stuff. He's able to move around the ring and, you know, not necessarily eat some punishment. If somebody can just hit him, that's all it takes. It don't have to be hard. If you just hit AJ, everything discombobulates this man, and he is not able to keep it together. He is not able to eat those punches and keep moving forward. And, you know, to quote Rocky, that's how winning's done, right? He can't do it. He cannot do it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Rob, do we have any rapid fire?
Actually, I have a full slate, but it's already at time, so
we can still hit some. If you want to keep some that are not necessarily time or not necessarily what's the word I'm looking for? Relevant right now. We can always push those back to next week.
Well, there's a few quick hitters too that we can go over, but really the first one I want to touch on has been, since it's the hot topic right now, people keep asking about this. But guys, what would you say if this ever could be made or could happen? But what would you say of a possible Super Bowl type fight card next year in the UK with Fury versus Usyk, and on the undercard, Joshua versus Wilder?
That's a great card. Great card. I'd pay some good money for that one. That's a pay-per-view worthy card.
Except it be in Saudi Arabia. Don't get me started.
I said the UK, James. I just said the UK.
No, I got you. I got you on that.
But he's
man,
like, realistically, it would have to be in Saudi Arabia, where all the things is flowing right now.
So what was the question, though? Okay. Are you looking for the undercard, or
you think that can happen? What do you think?
Well, we're going back to the same thing. I don't think it would. The way shit's going now. I've been on this trip all week since this weekend, because these fights are going. They just announced Sudro Ramirez versus. I'm getting off track here. Sudro against Bivol, and that's going to be in UAE, so United Arab Emirates. And what I say about that, those fights going overseas to the Middle East because they got money, is fuck that. Fuck that. Those fights should be either in England or maybe somewhere in Eastern Europe or United States or Las Vegas or Los Angeles, New York City, because those are the fight hubs. But these guys got money and they're hijacking the fucking sport. It's like the advent of pay per view, where a lot of people said, "Fuck this, I'm not going to buy this shit," and left.
Isn't that why they go to Vegas too, though? I mean, that's where the money is, right?
Well,
Yeah.
these fights should be in London, Vegas, New York,
I agree with you. Yeah.
and there's a lot of fucking boxing pundits. I'm getting hot. There's a lot of boxing pundits saying, "Oh, it's okay if it's in United Arab, unless you wanted to go to the fight, then you can't go, or maybe you can, but most people can't afford it. It's not
Well,
okay. It is
yeah.
not
I'm not
okay."
going over there.
Well, my
And
whole
some of
issue
these, some of
is,
these,
It looked
sorry,
like
sorry,
it did
some of
look
these,
like there was a lot of people there, though. I mean, it's not like it was like a closed thing, where
you know,
only the richest of people went. I mean, I saw a full plate. I mean, they were all enjoying the fight. Whoever
they
came
don't,
there.
they don't give a fuck about boxing.
But that's not the point. I mean, there's a lot of
No,
people that go to our events too, and they don't give a f about their
Yeah,
sport.
yeah, there's a lot of
that's true.
celebrities because they want to be seen and they got
Yeah,
money.
I mean,
But
But
what I'm
but
saying,
Rob's question was like, could it even be
yeah,
made? And I'm gonna say no, Rob, because Josh was never gonna be on an undercard. He will never be on an undercard. Joshua Wilder's a main event separately. They don't stack cards like that anymore. That's not gonna happen.
that's a shame. The other thing with Saudi James is I don't want to see a fight at noon go from 1 p.m. till 5 p.m. Anyway. But on that same topic, guys, for one, I do want to bring up because James brought it up, but guys, if he can pull it off, Bivol is got to be the consensus fighter of the year this year. If he can pull it off, taking out Canelo for one, and then this bout with Zordo Ramirez, that's a hell of a 2 fight deal for him this year. And I understood that he didn't want to have that hard of a fight coming off that Canelo victory. But hey, he's got to accept the fight, and kudos to I believe it was the WBC, WBA, whoever forced this fight.
Hey, Canelo was easy for him. He should be all right.
yeah, that's what I'm
That's an
trying to figure
easy
out.
fight.
Like, he couldn't have another fight like that this year. I mean,
I
Dog
sorry,
walk Canelo.
I didn't think that he was skating against Canelo. He took some lumps against Canelo. He had to work.
he
He
wasn't
won.
brutalized, is what we're
I
saying. It's like there's no
no,
healing. He didn't
ain't
need
no,
much of
ain't no,
healing time.
there was no dog walking. Come on, that was a fight. It was 11-1 on my card,
I
but
don't know.
he had to work. He had to work. But I agree. I agree. He came out unscathed and good for him. And if he beats, he's not going to beat Zurdo Ramirez.
Oh,
Ain't no
Luis
way.
Pereira,
Ain't
huh?
no way he's going to beat Zurdo. Ain't no way.
Okay,
Ain't no
we'll
way.
save that, James.
I know
But
it's hard for me to say either way because I don't feel like I've seen enough Zordo or Bivol, really. My thing of it is if they were able with the last question you said, could they be like basically two main events on the same card? What we consider today by the industry standards is two main events. And I would have to say no, they would want to stretch that, and get the money out of both fights as main events. So I would go against that one. And then for this one, when you're talking about Bivol versus Zordo Ramirez, I like them both, and I feel that that's a great fight. And I'm with Rob on this. If he is able to take a W out of this year again against two top level opponents, I feel like he would be able to solidly say maybe fighter of the year. And the thing of it is, it's like, what do we have to lose? At least he's taking chances and fighting the best at his division, or fighting someone that other people are kind of like thinking of as a boogeyman, right? So, like, what's the difference? I feel like it's an amazing thing that he's taking on these opponents that other people are not necessarily eager to take on. He shouldn't be penalized for that or made to feel like he's a lesser than, situation. Because, like James is saying, I mean, Ramirez is no walk in the park for any damn body. So.
No, I want to see the winner fight Beterbiev.
Well, Lucas,
that could very well happen.
Unfortunately, your boy got hurt. His fight in October is now postponed, so he won't be fighting again till next year.
So that was against Anthony Yard.
Anthony Yard,
good fight there.
That being said, then I'm just rapid firing these topics out here at y'all. So that being said, guys, Joshua also at the end has mentioned afterwards as well, he plans to return back to the ring in December. So do we honestly see that being a possibility? Do we see that happening?
Who?
Joshua.
Anthony Joshua.
In December.
I'm sorry, he had already dissipated from my mind. Like, I mean, I'm supposed to anticipate another fight with AJ right now. I'm sorry, I don't have the energy, and it's just laughable at this point. For me, I'm way more interested in what the other players that's in the top 5 heavyweights have to offer against each other than AJ. I'm a what they call back burner him, okay? And now I'm more focused on some of these other players, like how is Wilder gonna do? Coming back with Helenas, how is Fury and Usyk gonna be looking? I feel like that's a bigger. I'm like Lucas. That's a bigger Fury versus a small Fury and Usyk with the same skills. Size always matters, but not really. So we'll just have to see what's going on. AJ is the last player that I want to think about now.
Right.
Let him go back in the oven and cook a little bit more with the Garcias, and then we'll revisit him next year, really.
Now, the way I see that is Joshua trying to make a statement saying, I'm not going away. So basically what happened is he stopped crying. He dried his tears. He blew his nose and said, I'm game and I'm going to continue. And, it's a matter of finding a good opponent and let's see what he can do. As far as his tantrum and his post-fight activities there, fuck it. You know what he did? He apologized for his actions. He apologized to Usyk and to his fans, whoever else he apologized to, and got it together. And let's all move on. Fuck it.
Man, come on now. I'm for moving on, but at the same time, you can't just throw all this big fit and then at the end just expect everybody to just pretend like that shit didn't happen. You chucked
no, not at all.
You chucked championship belts like they were garbage because you lost, like a little baby.
We all agree that
belts ain't no good. You said that.
We all agree.
I said you say every other day how them belts no good. So what's the problem? Now you offended they got thrown out. No, the problem for
I'm not offended that they got thrown out. That was just an example. But his whole big old thing about he was like storming like he was still gonna fight Usyk. Like what the fuck? About?
He was all over the place. He was all over. We all know that.
He came in and he took the flag. That was the most disrespectful shit ever. And I think Usyk was about to whip his ass for realsies, and he was like, "Oh, let me give that back. Let me give that back."
That's what I was going to get at. I feel that at least he apologized to the person he needed to, which was Usyk, who lost his moment to really have that victory moment that all boxers want to have when they have retained, gotten their titles or defended their titles and they won. They can't get back that moment. That moment he stole from him, in which he wouldn't even hand him back over the microphone when he was like, "Come on, give it to me, because you're cutting up, little boy." He was not able to get that moment because, by the time they got to where they got the mic back and reset for the interview with Usyk, I'm sure Usyk didn't even. He looked like he was so mad internally that he didn't even say the things that he probably had planned to say. Especially about his country and, thanking everybody and all that type of stuff. And I think that's the most disrespectful thing that a boxer can do to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you
Yeah,
got
but he didn't know what really didn't know what to say.
I mean, but you guys are talking about, it's kind of, bad that the guy got sucker punched or whatever. But I feel like the most disrespectful thing that you can do to another fighter is when they want to fight and you steal that moment from them. Like, that's not cool at all.
Yeah.
No, it was fucked up. It was fucked up.
But we already been through that topic, so I gotta pull us back in.
It is. I just want to say he apologized, got it together, and fucking let's move on.
One more thing. I think the only thing that can save Joshua, right? If he's to move on, if he's to get any better, and I don't even know if that's possible now because I think he's old enough to the point now it's too late. He's kind of set in his ways. But he's got to take it back to the streets. He's got to do some Ann Wolf type training. If he don't have no fire in his gut now, he's got to get something brewing in there, and that's about the only way to do it. Why don't you spar two heavyweights at the same time, Joshua?
And Ann Wolf.
All right.
The word I was looking for earlier was pampered. That's what the word I couldn't.
He is very pampered.
Yeah, it's pampered.
Yeah, now he's got to change his pamper.
He's got a nutritionist, a mental therapist, probably a nanny.
Oh, he need to go get in somebody's
moving on
that bitch for a whole week and a half and don't shower but maybe like one time during that entire time. Like, rough it and let your mind remember what you had to go through. Maybe he needs like a stiff reminder, like, hey, this is what happens. You gotta have some fight in you.
He needs to get back to the grit. He needs heavy sparring.
And Wolf. And Wolf.
Moving on, I'm not going to bring up Joshua again until December.
I foresee ass juice coming out here pretty soon, though. But let's talk about it.
Next topic up for grabs. We hadn't mentioned it on air, but guys, Navarrete retains his title with a nasty body shot. I already know how I feel. I want to know how y'all feel, but isn't it time he moved the hell up? Fighting these tomato cans no longer cuts it for me.
He's at 126.
Baez, that's another Baez, right?
Yes.
Right. I mean, he did pretty good. He really surprised a lot of people with how competitive he made that bout up until he got, hit with that body punch. So I was like, really, I want to see him again. Okay, even though he took that body punch, I really am interested in seeing where his career takes him. So I wouldn't call him, fighting bums and things like that. But I do, however, feel that he definitely is the weight bully of the division, and he's using that status to get through a lot of punches. A lot of fights when he doesn't necessarily look that great through the fight up until he does look great with the KO. So I'd like to see him with more competitive competition, not competitiveness, but more competition at his real probably weight. And I'm just like, damn, how do you come out fit? They talking about 40 to 50 pounds in between this particular bout. Like, how the hell did he make, what is it, super featherweight?
No, featherweight.
126. Yeah, how the hell did he get down to 126, guys? I'm like astonished. And I was good. So I feel like, he definitely needs to move it on up the line.
Yeah, that was a WBO 126 pounds. Wow. He went KO in the 6th, but there is Ray Vargas who hasn't fought, and Brandon Figueroa. And then there's Mauricio Lara as well. He's the guy that beat Josh Warrington.
Okay.
So, and then there's also, there's Josh Warrington, in fact.
Yeah.
So there's some competition there.
Move it on up.
I'm with Rob. You're already shrinking too much. I mean, he must have a dehydrator in his house that he can walk into.
It's dangerous.
But if it's boxing, if he makes weight, he makes weight.
I mean, it is, but
provided he does it legally.
Diminishing your wins, though, James.
Yeah, it is.
start diminishing your wins. Because now, as a fan, I'm like, okay, yeah, you won, but you should have won. You know, like I'm not about to give you a whole bunch of kudos for beating on young guys that's at their correct weight when you're not.
Yeah, Tim Bradley said he believed he actually was like 147 on fight night.
Oh my God, a welterweight?
That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's too much.
Yeah.
Dang.
Now,
And you're
moving on.
fighting somebody
See,
that dehydrates to about 130, 132. Think about that.
Yeah,
Now,
that's where the IBF is good.
moving on,
I
so I
agree.
can get through all of these topics here.
We don't have to hit all of them, but pick, another.
I'm on a
one or
roll,
so.
Lucas. I'm on a roll.
He's like, okay, now I'm ready to go.
These have not been rapid.
Next topic is, guys, George Kambosos says his career is on the line. Basically, he said, if I don't beat him, I'm calling it a career. Do you believe him?
He doesn't.
And go ahead.
No, I don't believe him. Haney's a great fighter. I mean, why hang it up? Just one loss to one guy. I mean, Kambosos just came off a huge win over Tio. I don't see a reason to hang it up just because you can't beat Haney. There are certain people that just got your number. You know what I mean? That's not saying that you still can't compete at an elite level. That's not saying you still can't get a title. So I call it bullshit. I think he's just selling fights, selling tickets.
Yeah, that sounds like copy. I mean, but that's what they're paid to do. That's part of the business of boxing, is to drum it up.
Yep, got to promote yourself a little bit.
But there's an essence of truth there.
A little
If
bit.
he doesn't win this fight, he is in deep.
He's going to be seen differently. Yeah.
Okay, but I like this. Guess what? There are a whole lot of fighters with their careers on the line. I mean,
Right.
You're no better than anybody else. I mean, all these boxers are out here trying to make a career that's successful and that is profitable. What he's really saying is, if I don't win this fight, knowing how hard and how long it took him to get to that championship fight, he knows that he falls back down, and there's no way that he wants to start back from ground zero and try to work his way back up to a title fight, especially knowing how hard it was to get the opportunity he finally received with Teofimo. So I feel like, yeah, there's some truth to what he's saying. However, you ain't alone, dude. You are not alone. There are plenty of boxers out here that feel like, it's do or die. So let's stop using that. It's not gonna. I feel the same way about a couple of every fighter. You're only like 2 fights away from being at the bottom of the heap again, right? So I mean, you're no better than anybody else. Let's move it on, Kambosos. Find you another stick to market. We not falling for this.
So, Shakur, you are absolutely right. His quote says, "It is a great division for me. It's a great division, but for me, I'm 29, so it's do or die. If I don't overcome this fight, you will not see me back in Australia fighting domestic guys. That is not me."
For that type of money, too. He didn't put in there for that type of money either.
Right.
But I like his mentality, though. I will say that. I like his mentality because I felt like there's a lot that he needs to overcome in that rematch.
Yeah, no, I like his mentality too, but he's not going to overcome Devin Haney.
Yeah,
his mentality is great. His outlook is fuck.
Yeah.
Damn.
That being said, Lucas, that is all I have.
I feel like a drum roll should have went before. It's not happening.
Yeah, no. Just want to kind of go over what you guys were just saying. I mean, every night, your career's on the line, no matter who you're facing, right? But a loss to Devin Haney is certainly better than, a no-name loss or a tune-up that you ended up losing. Then your career is even more on the line. Losing to a big name, that's excusable. Losing to a tune-up, no. Rod Salka, beat him up or
Previous
something.
fight, let's not forget he almost didn't even have his rematch because even with that rematch clause, Top Rank was thinking about going ahead and allowing the Lomachenko fight with Haney. They were still kind of shopping that idea out there. So what was he going to say if this whole rematch wouldn't even happen? Is his career still on the line? Because it was almost not about to be a reality, but then Top Rank started looking at them numbers and saying, well, wait a minute, though. I mean, boxing in Australia's been treating us pretty good.
Yeah, I really hope Kambosos is up for the challenge. I mean, maybe if anything else, he'll at least go out on his shield. But he did not have an answer for that first fight. He just kind of followed Devin Haney and ran into jabs all night. Let's hope we don't see that. But been a great show. Thank you all for tuning in and all the comments going on. Don't forget to check us out 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Have a good night.